We're trying to limit our food intake on a daily basis. So I'm going to give you my one pager, right, on how I hold a recruiting appointment, how I build value, what my follow-up is afterwards. It's called the closer framework. It's actually in page 30 of the Spring Explosion Playbook that KWRI wrote up. I sat in on a call with Jason Abrams and we taught that. So I'm going to give that to you, right? And we'll talk about that at the end. We truly will, because we're going to tie everything up together on it. And then truly, I want everyone to know is I really don't like PowerPoint presentations and the presentation, right? Yeah. Yeah, because I like it to be a little more interactive, right, and workshop-y, right, while you're taking notes. And I feel like if it's on presentation, kind of gets boring. It truly does. And I think some of you know me right now. I'm not really that boring, right? I want this to be a little more interactive with all. So, quick, this is who I am. My name is Frank Genzano. I'm the CEO of KW Empower. Prior to that, I was a team leader of KW Philly. And from June 1st of 2021 to December 31st of 2023, I recruited over 550 agents by myself. You can't do that if you don't have a really solid system in place. But one of the main things I always focused on was if I'm having a conversation with an agent, I'm solving a problem in their business. I truly am, right? So let's start whiteboarding some ideas. And I have my lovely assistant, Tori, that's going to help me with that, right? So, and by the way, I just wanted everybody to know real quick, I took this class off of the calendar and it mysteriously showed back up again. So we don't have anybody to blame other than Tori for that. So let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about attraction, right? Because that's what you're running a team, or if you want to build a team, you want to start attracting the right people to your world, right? And the number one thing an agent talks about when they meet with you, they say what, Mark? What do they want?
The split.
Close, right? That's kind of where I was going with that. David, what do you think agents say?
Leads.
They want leads.
Lead sources, yeah.
Lead sources, right? And I could tell you, me personally, from experience, that automatically disqualified that person for me for wanting them to be part of my world, right? Because if they come for money, they're going to leave for money. You want agents that come for the opportunity and stay for people, right? That's how we built our brokerage. So if someone's coming to me and the first question out of the mouth is, I need leads, it's already strike one for me. It truly is. And then I start opening up questions about that. Well, tell me about that. Tell me why you feel like you need leads. We're not at the question and answer part yet, but Lindy, I'm kidding. That fire away.
So what if someone came in and asked, you help, not I want leads, but you help teach me how to generate leads?
Yeah, oh, that's the person I want. That's 100% the person that I want in my world, right? Like literally. But from an attraction standpoint, if I'm attracting somebody to my team and they're only interested in all the business that I'm doing, they think that it's coming from leads that I'm paying for on Zillow or Realtor.com, automatically strike number one, right? There is a great class coming up called Genzano. I didn't come up with the name, by the way. I didn't. Tessa Adams did.
You can pay me.
Yeah. I pay you enough. Okay. So that is, think about your attraction, right? And if you're attracting someone that wants leads, then that's somebody that doesn't know how to generate leads, right? And that's kind of what the opening question is. Well, let's get back to the attraction, right? Who do you want to attract to your business? Whether that's a client or whether that's an agent you'll be partnered with, right? So what you're putting out content-wise truly matters. It really does. It can't be negative. It can't be Debbie Downer all the time. Hate to say it, can't talk about politics. It sucks, right? But people want to be with people that they want to be partnered with. You have to put that out. You truly do. So sharing success, how about a point of view about or your level of expertise on the buyer's agency contract, right? That would have drawn a lot of people in. You guys are doing a lot of assessments right now in the state of Delaware. Probably draw a lot of attention that way as well. But how about sharing a story about the success of an agent? So recently, I think, which I hate, by the way, I just want everybody to know this, I hate selfies. I hate pictures to begin with. So for me to do a selfie with somebody, it's like gut wrenching for me because I'm 50 years old. 50-year-old should be taking selfies in my opinion anyway. But I'm celebrating our agent's success. Noel Fox, who's on CCL in Philly, just got 2 agreements under contract like that. Tomorrow, or maybe Friday, brand new agent to us. He came over from Redfin. His name's Atnu. Just got $12.3 million in a commercial deal. His first deal with us under agreement.
All day outside my office on that phone. In a suit.
Gotcha. Every day, right? And by the way, he's working with 2 other very large major corporations. One of them has over $1 billion to spend. So he's out there generating leads. There are people that we want to attract to my brokerage, right? They're the people you should want to attract to your world. So the other thing is, how do you spot the next superstar that you want to attract, right? Because as you're growing, you're going to start attracting everybody, right? And how do you filter out who you want to be partnered with? There's some really good questions that you could ask. Tell me, how do you generate leads currently right now? It's probably one of my favorite ones. What do you love about the business? What are you passionate about? And what do you hate about it? Anybody's heard me talk before knows that I didn't really like working with buyers, right? And it's not because I wasn't good at it. I just didn't have the patience for it sometimes. I don't know if you guys can tell by the nose, the accent, I'm Italian, right? I'm also a driver. And I always thought that my buyer's consultation, I was able to marry your needs and wants during buyer's consultation, that those 5 houses that I found you on your first tour, we're buying one of them. We're getting one of them under agreement. Totally wrong outlook, right? Sorry. And then I'm arguing with them, or I'm saying nasty things about their mom, that they raised the wrong kid. I'm kidding. But like, hey, I put so much time and energy in getting good qualified buyer leads. That's why I started a team, right? Because I wanted them to take my buyer leads I was working so hard for. Let me teach them my system, my buyer's consultation, so now they can grow business, right? So if you're attracting people, the next thing you're going to need are systems, right? What systems, Carolina, are important for running a team? CRM. I agree. That's onboarding number 1.
Statement with them, your goals, you're laying out the foundation for the rest of their little life on your team.
When you at most peril to lose an agent that you just brought into your world? Anybody want to take a guess? Kim, you're an ops person.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? What do you think that number is? How many days into their partnership with you that they're at peril to leave?
In my world, it's 10 minutes if you don't do what you need to do. But 30 days, and I kid you not when I say that, because I was ready to somebody in 10 minutes.
She's been there, get marked
30
30
days.
for 3 years.
You had your hand up.
I was gonna say 90 days.
90 days.
I was the story.
Okay, I'm gonna share some pain. I'm gonna share some pain and some vulnerability with you. I was recruited during the pandemic in 2020 towards the end to come over to Keller Williams, right? And I almost left in the first 2 weeks. Because the onboarding at the time was atrocious. It was egregiously bad. I didn't know who was who. I didn't know where to go for what. And I was a tenure agent at that point, and I was supposed to be a leader. And it was the most overwhelming, cumbersome thing I've ever experienced. Right, and I also got COVID like really bad and I almost died, which kind of sucked. And I was also dealing with moving to a new brokerage at a company that I left my cousin's brokerage for. Not only my cousin, my best friend, his godfather, and my son Nicholas, right, which really made Thanksgiving very awkward. Right, and he now runs Compass in Philadelphia. I'm running like, so it was a very tumultuous time for me, right, because the onboarding wasn't great. We're, it's something we always work on, but for you, what is your onboarding process? What's your operating agreement look like? Do you have an operating agreement? What's your team handbook look like?
So it's when you were just talking about onboard, what it really made me think was when I came here to Empower was how simple and easy it was as a, I know it's Color Williams, but an outside agent coming in, like it was stuff that I didn't even know needed to be done was already taken care of.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
And it's something we always work on, Jim,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, we can always
It really is,
improve. Yeah, 100%.
And I appreciate you saying that, right? Because it is really important to me. Those people are making a decision, those agents or those operations people or those administrative agents are making a decision to partner with you. They're changing their entire life. You owe it to them to make this as easy and seamless as possible for them. You truly do. So your systems, your onboarding, very important. Then comes the CRM. What else? What else do agents want? We know they want to learn how to generate leads. We know some of the bad ones just want leads, right? But what are the other 2 reasons why agents are attracted to teams, Chris?
Structure and support.
Structure and support. So let's call that coaching, right? Leadership coaching, right? And that you hit the nail right on the head. You could actually have a really sucky onboarding system. You could really have a horrible CRM if you're a good leader. You truly could. And if it's on a small scale. But onboarding is important, but knowing that that person's deciding to partner with you. Am I getting coaching? Am I getting mentorship? Am I getting support? And how am I getting it? Where am I getting it? How often and where? Very important. If they're calling you Sunday, like at 3:55, when the Eagles get ready to push into the end zone for a touchdown, they're calling you with a question, that's probably, you have to set some boundaries there, right? So we have support, we have CRM, we have onboarding. What's the other one? Pretty glaring too, by the way.
How you do business.
Close. I think that falls in line with systems and like,
Transaction coordination.
I think that falls also in systems as well.
Culture.
Culture. I know somebody just did a great podcast on it and talked about it. What's the culture of your team? But it's talking about that. Yeah. What's the culture of your team? You're getting ready to spend 8, possibly 10 hours almost a day with these people, right? They're partnering with you. What's it like to be there? Now, there's some teams that I know that they just love to party. And that's a culture of their team, right? There are some teams that make you believe that they're changing the world just by selling real estate. Culture of the team. It truly is. I'm talking about you.
I know.
The last thing is marketing support. The number one reason why when I'm sitting across from an agent and they're telling me what they need is they need marketing support. Dead serious. Had a conversation yesterday. I'll probably have about 10 to 12 with agents that are either on teams or solo agents. And he said, Frank, I have 4 listings, 1.8 million each from a new builder. I'm on the team right now. I'm giving up 30%. I'm not getting any marketing support for my new constructed build. What do I do? literally said that, what do I do? So we kind of came up with a guideline, how to structure that conversation with his team leader and ask him exactly what he needed. Right? I said. In systems. Raise your hand real quick if you have a team handbook. Team handbook. It's really important. It's a document, or whether it's paper in a binder or digitally, that they can go to for everything that they need. Who their loan officers are, who is partnered with the team, who the title company is, who the lawyers are, who do you use for outside vendors for marketing. If you don't have those questions answered when somebody's coming to you, I gave up. Yeah, Chris.
So you said have like.
By the way, thank you for the blast, the marketing blast. I really, seriously,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. I really appreciate it.
Maybe you could have had these for a while, but now coming more, being involved, it put like that fire on me. But question, so in your handbook, you're gonna put like, who you work with a lender, that type. This is where I always kind of get confused, because as builders, we're supposed to give options, right? So when you
Yes.
say partner with somebody, like, hey.
Or how about
Mark,
partners?
Yeah, okay. So you give them options?
Always.
But
Yeah,
then I also hear for new agents, hey, you gotta link up with a lender and link up with the title company. And then I see them specifically, that's all they're using. Are they giving?
steering. You're trying to say steering? So it sounds like, I'll get to you in a second. Unless, is that something you want to address?
So when I started, I was on a pretty big team, you know, one of the top teams in the region. Obviously, they had their partners. And a lot of times I didn't vibe with the partners,
Right,
and I went and found my own connections, and that was okay. Like they didn't really hound on, they just need to make sure that that partner is in your marketing per se. If you're on like a big team, like, but every team was different. Like he didn't care who we partnered with. He wanted us to partner with the best person that fits because, you know, even here in the market center, you know, a lot of times there would be a partner and you're just like, I don't really like the dude.
Okay, now, why does it always have to be? a dude? Sorry, Liv, I'm kidding.
So like, you know, I don't want to feel obligated that I feel bad. So like, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I'm just thinking.
But just give them, I always give like 3 or 4 options of everything.
Right, okay.
So on my team, what I say is I have 3 or 4 lenders at any given time that I've been using for an extended amount of time. I say, these are available to you. My recommendation to you is to go out and go talk to these people, see if you vibe. And if there's other lenders that you know, go spend time with them, see what works for you. And then, so I have my go-to and I'm like, here's 4 that I use regularly.
Right.
You're free to use whoever you want and go search those out.
Okay, that's kind of.
So,
And I mean,
I just want to prove a point real quick.
Yeah.
And here's exactly why you don't do PowerPoint presentations, right? Because that conversation doesn't happen if I'm up here just dictating to you constantly, right? And I saw like 3 other hands go up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
To that point with my team, you know, me specifically, if I'm having a conversation with a client and I know that this lender is going to work best with this particular client, then I'll say, you know, based on your criteria, what you're looking for and your personality, I believe that this may be a good fit. Can I give him your number for him to reach out to you? You know?
like a luxury fit for an F agent. So that's why you want to make sure you know.
A credit challenge for the client is not gonna work best for Chase. Now, you know, when you have a pocket full of lenders, you know, the best lender for that client's kind of criteria. I dig into my client's financial profile before I even begin to work with them, because I want to know how do I best help you get where you gotta go. And then that lender line up to where they are.
But you get that person and then you say, there's also these other ones.
Yes,
But this seems like this would be the best fit.
Yes.
And that's
But I
kind
let
of
them-
what I do.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug right now, right? What if you had a client that was cash strapped?
Hmm.
Liv, what's your application fee right now? Can you say that out loud? So, I mean, you want lenders who you're partnering with
Mhm.
that have certain programs that fit your client's needs.
Right.
And that's what you would have, but you would know in your head, hey, Genzano only has $10,000 to buy this property. We're gonna introduce them to rate, right? So just to have a better understanding of that. But also, where are you ordering your signs from, right? Where are you ordering your marketing material, your print advertising, right? Who are the important people in the brokerage that you just brought that agent to that they need to reach out to for help? Or if it's support ticket system, put the support tracker link in there so they can just go right there. How are commissions paid? Any questions on your team handbook and operating agreement? But for you guys as well, what happens when someone joins your team? Should have the team intake form that also explains their exit strategy. So no one's surprised, especially you. I had a conversation with a team leader yesterday as well. And said, this agent just left my team. They were with me for 4 years. Their team intake form, which is really their team outtake form, said something different than what they currently have right now. I said, well, listen, they signed it. That's a binding contract. They have to live up to those terms. They didn't amend it. They didn't do an amendment to that agreement. That old agreement, not as friendly for agents leaving their teams. And my conversation with them was, you have to set that precedent. You have to move forward with that. So think about this. You're running a business. You have to protect yourself. What does your team outtake form look like as well? Truly. Because as a team leader, you are investing a lot of time, energy, and funds into that agent. They're going to get business over that next 12, 24, 36 months from the leads that you help either provide for them or taught them how to. It shouldn't be definite. It should not be forever, by the way. It should have a start and end date from their departure from your team. There's some agents that think they walk on water here in Delaware that have that in their team agreement forever. Nobody deleted to us, by the way. But like I'm looking through team agreements and it's like, if your name is in my CRM, you're mine forever. First of all, no, absolutely not, right? So does anybody have any questions on that before we get on to the next thing? It's been some really good interaction here, by the way, which I really appreciate. Mark,
Yes, sir.
what do you think? I mean, you're running a pretty big team.
I think you have to have, like you said, on the intake form, the outtake form, it's got to be fair to both sides. It has to be reasonable. I've always said my view is if they brought that person to the team, came in from their CRM, their database, from their free team stuff, that's theirs forever.
Right.
I never want to fish that lead.
Mhm.
And then if it came from our advertising and they were working it, well, that's a different story. We created that lead.
Yeah.
And if it's not pending or under contract right now with them, then it goes with the team.
Smart.
I think okay.
And something else you should have in your team book is if you have a transaction coordinator, what your responsibilities and what your transaction coordinator's responsibilities are, and know to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some teams that write all the agreements for their agents. Some teams want to review the first 10, right? To make sure that, listen, they're on the hook. So as a broker, they're on the hook. They want to make sure, yeah, you're absolutely right. What's your responsibility and what's not? Great point.
2 words keep popping in my head as everyone's having these discussions that kind of, I guess, would bag all this up. And as a team leader, I sometimes feel like in real estate, it's so easy to start a team. And there's a lack of accountability as a true team leader and transparency. And like probably in the last 3 years, when it came to my team agreement, I made it ultra transparent with putting in commission breakdown. Like, here's what your commission is gonna look like a little chart. when it's your lead versus when it's a team lead, so that they had like a visual of the money coming in, coming out, so it wasn't a shock, because a lot of agents get first check shock, and usually it's negative experience, because they didn't do the math in their head, they didn't have a visual, they just thought, oh, if I make $1,000, I'm gonna bring home 600 because I'm on a 60-40 with my team leader, and they said, well, where's this other? And I'm like, oh, the market center had to get paid too. And that's not explained transparently and black and white enough for a new agent, especially.
I think it would be a great idea to put an example of a first commission check and the breakdown in your team handbook and have them initial it, that they read it and they understand it. I have like one a week, so I'm glad. Jim, what's up, bud? You had your hand up.
Oh, well, it was kind of, so I was kind of talking about is make sure if you are signing any agreements to, like you said, read that thing over.
Yeah.
I was in a situation when I left and it was always understood that you can't market to my database, and I found out when they were marketing to my dad after he passed away. And I look back and there's no repercussions from it. So be very careful what you, what's that?
Your situation.
Yeah, yeah. Right. But just make sure, like, whatever you're signing, whether it's you're a team leader, a team member, to make sure you're reading everything and making sure you don't make any mistakes. Have a lawyer if you want, like pro bono, look it over. It's always a good thing.
I didn't even say pro bono, say pay for it.
Well, that's what I meant, like per case, sorry.
But
Yeah.
I will say, can I just say that as the team leader
Yep.
that wrote the handbook or the agreement, don't be easy to compromise because a team member doesn't like something you wrote in it. Be willing to say, if it's not acceptable the way it is, then you can go somewhere else. Because a lot of us write almost the exact same thing. We aren't unreasonable. We aren't unfair.
Stick to
Yeah, I'd make a couple of observations. One, I think as we go through this process, the onboarding, all those things that you talked about, if we fail in any part of that and lose that person, it's almost impossible to get them back.
But do you
in the
want to?
past-
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, in the past, here onboarding at KW, we've had some real pitfalls that we screwed up on. And we've lost some major agents to that we can never get back now. Because they've been, they've suffered a negative experience and they don't want to come back.
Yeah.
And then another comment I was gonna make, when we're dealing with partners, I think one option that we should always look at, and we do have that RESPA document as well that talks about partnerships, but one thing that we always want to include as a potential partner is the team or the group that has the partnership with the market center. Because those actually are adding to our profit share and adding to our bottom line and all that stuff. So that always should be an option as well. As one of our partners.
I'm doing something I never do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still talking about one topic, I'm handing out a flyer on the passes now. And let me know if you don't have enough, they're circulating background. Because this is basically how I run every interview, interaction, appointment with an agent in need. If there's not enough, I'll just ask. I don't need. Everybody else good? Everybody have one?
Yep.
Cool. This is how the growth team runs every appointment. So let's say outbound, right? There's an agent you want to be partnered with. Sometimes it's a tough phone call to make, right, Josh? Maybe not for you or I, but sure, it's a difficult phone call to make, right? How do you approach that? How would you approach that phone call? Aaron, I'm your new team leader. How would you approach that phone call?
Gently, probably. I wouldn't go in guns blazing.
Okay. Rick, how about you? You've made a few recruiting calls back in your day.
I want to go in confident and present myself as somebody that they want to be in business with, that is going to share with them how them joining the team is going to make our team better, but we're hoping to make you better as well.
You're both not wrong. Any other ideas? Good. Both right, by the way. I just wanted you to know that, because
I'm gonna reach out and suggest a brainstorming session. I respect some of the things they do in the industry, and I'd like to find out more about what they're doing to improve their business and maybe share what I'm doing to run mine.
also correct. Anybody else? Jim? And I'll go to Chris.
For me, like, I don't really kind of get into the nitty gritty at first. I'm more on I'm building a relationship first. Inviting them to coffee, lunch, whatever it may be, an education class, hanging out, whatever it is. But I kind of, and then maybe after that first initial, I'll know if I want to be in business with that person or not. And if I don't, then I'm not going to keep going to the next step.
Got it.
So that's kind of how, and with our team structure, it's a little different. So it's not it's just the mindset that we do.
Yeah. Chris? Right. So,
I like to take numbers and facts for justification purposes. So like, for instance, that post that I put out to show that we have the top 6 of the top 10 teams in the greater Pennsylvania region. I've had
great post, by the way.
Thank you. I've had people come up and talk to me about that.
Yeah.
And when you can show, like, it makes, I feel like if you're prepared and have the information, it makes that conversation easier. And being able to show the justification.
Also, let's make sure the numbers are right, not like what that other company just put out this week about they had the most sales and.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Right, well, we're at 800,000, anywhere's at 900,000, and that stupid little company is at like 350,000, whatever. Whatever they need to tell themselves, they like to put themselves.
That's what they're telling on the recruiting calls too.
Yeah.
They're the #1 brand in America.
Yep.
They're number one.
Sure are.
400,000.
You're correct. So here's how I always approach these conversations, right? And if you haven't taken any notes now, probably now's the time. So I'm going to give you my script. And it's a number of ways I take it. Truly. I already know their numbers before I'm calling them. Okay. And let's say it is an experienced agent, and I literally did it on the car ride down from Philly to office. I called an agent, a mobile banker. Right. Her name's Antonella. And, just, hey, look, I'm gonna basically left her a message and said, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. Number one, I need help and I value your opinion on this matter. And I just want an update. I want to see what's going on in your life. And here's what it was. One of our agents has a property in Margate, not in Margate, in Atlantic City, that's on the water. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath on the water. Listed at $500,000. And there's no way that the market is responding negatively to that price point. It should have sold 4 months ago. Antonella, Frank, listen, I have an agent. And I really value, I know you do a lot of work in Atlantic City, Margate, and Ventnor. Can you take a look at this for me? Like, I'm really confused, right? Why hasn't this property sold? I would love for you to get some eyes on it. Oh, by the way, how's everything going? Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges there? As soon as I say that and they answer it, they're mine. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now in your business? There's 20 of you in here. If I ask you all that question, I already know the answer. And I already know how I'm going to respond to it. I truly am. And I say, you know what, Tess, I've been hearing that a lot lately. Would it make sense for us to grab a cup of coffee? Let me give you 1 or 2 really good ideas from some of the things that I've heard that you implement at your current brokerage. And just give them a time and date and see if that works for them. Did that sound threatening at all? Sounded like just somebody wants to be your friend making a phone call, right?
And if you don't, the cement blocks are in the trunk.
One way. We don't know the agent at all. Hey, Sean, with Frank Genzano. Listen, I know we don't know each other. You had a great year, did $12.3 million in the last 12 months. How did you do that during such a difficult market? Actually, the worst market we've ever experienced. I'm really interested. They're gonna respond, Frank, a lot of hard work, but it's not where I want to be. Yeah. I'm starting to hear that a lot lately too. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now in your business? I don't have leverage. I don't have leads. I don't have marketing. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. No, often I'm hearing that right now. Mindset.
A lot.
Yeah, Jim, listen, I'm actually hearing that a lot lately. Dude, I'd love to be able, let's do this, right? I know I'd love to meet you, right? I've been watching your business for a while. Love to sit down with you. Share 1 or 2 ideas that really can help you with your business at your current company. No pressure at all whatsoever. I'm not even gonna talk about Cohen Lanes and all the awesome things that we're doing here. I don't say the awesome things, by the way, but I do say I'm not even, and I don't talk about Cohen Williams at all whatsoever. Because once they sit down and get in front of me, it's about being not ethnic, sorry, wrong one. Authentic. I don't know why ethnic came into my head. But I'm clarifying, yeah. But I already did the C part, right? I already clarified what the problem is. Give me an issue, any issue right now. I don't care what it is.
Right, not follow up with the 800 leads I've given them in 90 days.
Somebody else's problems right now. That's a systems issue, right? That's actually, you might be partnered from the wrong people. For the solo agent, right, that you're trying to get in your world. Maybe it's leads. Maybe it's time management, time blocking. Lori, what I'm hearing, right, I'm going to clarify, is you don't have enough structure in your day. I just labeled it. Does that sound about right? Yeah, cool. And then I literally go into the overview. What have you tried before? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked? It's called the CLO. That's why I would love to be able to sit down with you, give you 1 or 2 really good ideas to help you currently grow your business. And what I do afterwards, after I set that appointment, really separates me and my growth team from everybody else. I didn't openly recruit anybody in this room, so you haven't experienced it. But here's what happens. Here's immediately what happens, right? We hang up the phone call and you get emailed a needs analysis questionnaire. Oh, right after the confirmation of the appointment. I send it right to their email. In my email, it's not in my email or my calendar, it's not happening. But then I send them a needs analysis questionnaire. 5, 6, 7 questions. And if you guys want it, just email me and I'll email you out what those questions are. But it's basically like, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now? How are you generating leads? What are your income goals? Stuff like that. I could tell you that 100 out of 100% of the time, when an agent fills out that needs analysis questionnaire, they have joined our brokerage. I don't really care if they fill it out or not. I'm still gonna ask the questions. But I know they're gonna show up to the appointment if they fill it out. And I know that eventually, over a 15-month time frame, that they're going to join our brokerage. When you get your hand up, you have a question?
Yeah. Because the way our broker is set up, some are set up like the broker is also the owner is different here. When you acquired and remerged and purchased additional KW real estate companies, did you use this your closer with all the team leaders or? Yes,
You mean like retroactively or as they were bringing on new?
Like without having those questions about, or those conversations about if we're going to merge or take over an office. No, it was something totally different, but it's close to those lines. Right? Those brokerages had a need that need addressed. Right? But yeah, we did clarify it, we did label it, we did know what the deal of it. Right. By the way, guess what happens when they show up to the appointment? I go right over to CLO again. I truly do. It might sound painful, but you have to reiterate why they're there. S stands for solution. You're going to provide a solution to their problem. Talk about time blocking. All right, Leonard, talk to me about time blocking. What's your day look like? Just blushing.
My day. So I lead generate in the morning. I return phone
Wait a
call.
minute. What's that mean? Like the morning starts at 12:01 a.m. Is that morning? Are you making phone calls then? Give me time. Like what time are you making your phone call?
I'll start making phone calls about 8:30.
Okay.
Um,
Until when? Is it a set time or until you get a number of appointments?
both.
Tell me about that.
So if I don't have the necessary appointments or if I don't have the goals that are set out to happen that day, then I'll go back to dialing in the evening and I won't, leave the office until that's done.
Okay.
And at the same time, I return phone calls every morning from 11 to 12. And then I also allow for the fact that I'm making some calls before I come into the office.
Mhm.
So I'm usually wrapping up my calls about 10. I may have some calls while I'm driving on the road. That's usually more of an operations phone call.
Mhm.
And then 11, I get into the office and I start, returning those phone calls that came in. All right. So then lunch is a big thing down in Elkton. So we have our lunch.
Up in Philadelphia too, by the way, just so you know.
I think that's a love language everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we're back on the phones at 1 p.m. And then that's 1 to 2. And then after that, it's usually more of engaging with whether it's a coaching with a member or it's a lot of just follow up basically in the afternoon or later on in the afternoon appointments.
Great, sir. Tracy, what happens if a client calls you at 9:30? Sorry, what? Oh, whoa, why? Say that loud for the whole group. There we go. There's a time and place for when your client should be calling you. The time and place for when you should be looking at your emails or your text messages. And I can tell you right now, it's not when you have the most energy in the morning. It really isn't. Those are income producing hours. There is a time and place for client relationships and the follow-up. So when someone's telling me they feel stuck or they feel like their day is being taken over by their clients, I literally know how I'm going to run that appointment. We're going to talk about time blocking. That's the solution to their business. This may not work for you, Kim, but it worked for me, right? I was in the office every day at 8 a.m. when I was an agent. And from 8 to 9, I figured out kind of who I was going to call and why. From 9 until 11, regardless if I got an appointment, I made lead generation phone calls. And my lead generation phone calls were a lot different than everybody else's. I was calling from a place of contribution and education, right? It wasn't, hey, you know anyone who's getting ready to buy or sell? No, fine. You know anyone who's getting ready to buy or sell? No, fine. It was, hey, did you see 2208 South 22nd Street just sold for $240,000? Circle prospecting. Were you aware of that, Sal? No? We have the benefit, I don't know if it's a benefit, but the deeding recordings of deeds in Philadelphia take a really long time. And people in my neighborhood are very newsy. And they want all the information, so I took advantage of that, right? Hey, I would love to be able to email you the details of that transaction. Hey, is it okay? Also, are you interested in getting any other just listed, just solds in your neighborhood? Yeah, so I just added somebody to my database. So from 9 to 11, those were my phone calls that I was making. From 11 to 12, I was following up with old leads or leads or clients that I need to follow up on. From 12 to 1, hop right back in my little car and I leave my office at 2nd and Market or 728 South Broad Street. And I drive to South Philadelphia, a little neighborhood called Gerard Estates. That's where I was farming. And while I was having lunch, I was also lead generating. So there's 5 to 7 little places that I would stop in. They knew I was a real estate agent They knew if I was with someone that was a client, they knew I was solo, I was there to give them business as well. By the way, if I was with a client, they also knew I was paying, so they wouldn't accept any money, but it took time to build that relationship. From 2014 to 2016, I had 23% market share in Girard Estates. I was also an expert in that neighborhood as well. Guess what happened at from 1 to 3 o'clock? Client relations. And here's what client relations were. We talked about follow-up with cooperating agents, reply to home inspections, reply to offers. I told all my clients we could talk every day from the hours of 1 to 3 o'clock, and we could talk about anything. I set the expectation on communication. Unless you were a seller, right? It was a different expectation. I let them know that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they were going to hear from me between those hours. But I literally told all my clients, you want to talk to me, you text me at 7 a.m., I'm not going to respond until after 1 p.m. that day. I have to generate business. I have to lead generate for my business. I have no business.
Did you ever get pushback?
I did, and you know what happened? Wasn't the right client for me.
Bingo.
Nothing is better than firing a client that's eating up your time and your energy. Really easy for me, who's getting a salary, to stand up here and say that if I didn't do it while I didn't have a salary, right? But that's literally how I live my life. And there's still people pissed off about it. If I run into them in the neighborhood, like, why'd you fire me in 2016? Because you're an asshole. No, I'm kidding. But you are. And I learned that there's 2 people that taught me that lesson. Her name is Judy Geist. She played the cello for the Philadelphia Orchestra. She would call me all hours of day and night. She told me when I had to list her house because the numbers told her when to list it. It was a house located at 744 North 25th Street. The front of the house was painted a cat's face on the door. The door is 150 years old. It was historically themed, right? It was literally an ugly cat's face. I'm not saying the cat was ugly, I'm saying the painting was ugly. Imagine putting that as the first picture on MLS. Have them take it from the side, like from the side angle.
Caption writes itself.
And she told me, you have to list the property on December the 20th. I'm like, that's the stupidest time you have to list the property, but, and I had to do overview, like over my budget and marketing it to get it under agreement. I showed her 75 properties. And then I fired her because she was calling me at midnight. She was calling me at 4 a.m.
Oh,
expecting me to answer. Exactly.
absolutely.
Second person was Jen Testa. I sold her property in Packard Park. She had a complete meltdown at 3:47 a.m. She came and knocked on my door.
You should have had your wife answer.
Who do you think? Who do you think answered?
Hopefully your wife.
My wife answered, yeah. And there was some explanation, like, no, I'm not. I don't have I'm not having an affair with this woman. She's just having a meltdown about the settlement that's happened. Look at your face. You that happened? No? Okay, big, happened to Frank Genzano again. Knocked on my door at 3:47 a.m. She was having nervous breakdown.
I
No,
wouldn't even got that far. I don't even know why she was there.
that's very pathetic. But I told her, Jen, this is now is not the time to have this conversation. I don't know what you're feeling, but it's not gonna get solved at 4:13 in the morning.
Call me between 1 and 3 tomorrow.
And so.
Here's exactly what I said. I haven't
That you could ever need me for.
Mhm.
At those past 6, 7 o'clock, if there is an emergency, then the only people you should be calling are the police and the fire. It's not a real estate agent.
Here's exactly what I said to her. I have a very busy morning, Jen. I do. Let's table this, what you're feeling right now, right? I'm gonna drive you home.
Talk too much. That was way too much.
I'm gonna drive you home. I don't come home 1:30. 9:44, 9:45, that when she came to her senses, she sent me a text message like, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Everything's gonna be fine. I'll talk to you at 1:30. I mean, it was an $800,000 deal, so I was willing to take a little pain there, but
So the moral of the story is that we can come banging on your door at 3:45 in the morning,
Only if you-
have a meltdown.
my wife is not as nice as she used to be, by the way. She doesn't. 1:30 when I called her.
Yeah.
It was, there was a very small lien that popped up on her title search. And she thought she was gonna have to pay that money. And she didn't realize it was crossed out. And she needed that money to buy the property. She got it really late at night. The title company, who I no longer use, sent her the title report directly to her.
Hmm.
She had to
So
freak
instead
out.
of emailing you or even calling you, she decided to show up at your house.
She called, I ignored. Came back in.
It was 3 a.m.
Right.
Still with it.
So anyway, hours from 3 to 5, those were that I was on listing appointments or buyer's appointments or buyer's consultations. If I didn't have any, then I was back on the phone. But I was home at 5:30 every day, having dinner. I was a baseball dad, I was a cheer dad. That was really important to me. So when somebody says they feel like their day is being taken over, that is the appointment that I have. That's the solution I provide. And then we start with the relationship, right? Then we very quickly move to E. Let's say they make a decision to join us, right? I'm going to explain away all of their concerns. I truly am, about why it's important for them, why it's the best business decision that they made to join us or join the team. And then the next 72 hours, by the way, I reinforce that decision as well.
Have you ever had anyone say no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We're not the right partner for everybody. I'm okay with that. Maybe they know it before I do. Maybe they know it before the growth team knows it. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Do you follow up with them? Like, have they ever said no and then stayed with them? Or do you?
Always. I always, listen, there's always a follow-up. And why do you think we have such a robust educational calendar? Right? If you're having an issue or you want someone and you just don't know how to win them over, invite them here. Invite them to this class. Invite them to win. How was win today? Connor's not in the room, right? How was win today? Yeah, honest, come on.
Specifically, that yeah, stays for when.
One of my number one recruiting tools when you start a KW Philly, as well as retention. You're getting face-to-face time with the leadership. So that's it. This is how we run every appointment.
Getting just right to the board, one of the agents. We're doing for PR, we have. It's anyways. One of the agents said her broker. Isn't local, and I said, well, who is it? And she kept telling me who the company was. I was like, no, who is your broker? Not brokerage. And it was somebody that's like, they're out of DC. Never met them.
Ew.
So what?
They're probably paying them per deal though, right?
No.
Sounds like they are.
But I was like thinking about it. I'm like, that's one of the coolest things is that we're able to have a relationship with you, Tori, Dave. I mean, we're able to talk to you guys. We know who you are. We know you've set the boundaries where, hey, you can contact us. This is what you have to do though. I mean, I'm real appreciative of that. But after hearing her talk about that, I'm like,
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be, hey, you can reach us. There is a time and a way to get our attention, right? But no different than what we're emulating in the brokers right now, that how I ran my team, right? For you guys, if you want to attract talent to your team, right? We already know how to disqualify them. We truly do. But that's who they want to be partnered with. They want to be partnered with somebody that's providing solutions to the problem they're having. And you have to get very granular with what their issue is. If their issue is, I'll get to you in a second. If their issue is they just want leads, that is not the right person for you. It truly isn't. If they want to learn how to generate their own leads, great. I'm going to give you 3 ways to generate leads: cash on cash return, circle prospecting, how to sit an open house. Right, and here's the playbooks for that. Let's sit down and talk about that.
I was just to follow what you were saying. I have a friend that's at a brokerage that called me last week and said, oh, my broker just got fired because we can't reach him. And I chuckled and and I know why. And he goes, so we have a broker now that runs like the largest mega team, like he's the broker now. But he consistently calls me and he's like, hey, I got a problem. Can you tell me how to handle this, right? And I'm like, I'm not your broker. So when he said that to me, so yesterday I said, we need to have a conversation about KW. So he's like, I said.
In that meeting? No. Love to be in that meeting. By the way, and if you ever have somebody that you want to introduce, Rich, you want me in on that appointment, I'm here every Wednesday. I can be here on Fridays too. I said a couple of them, right?
Each season. Right?
Yeah.
From prior experience.
You gotta leave by like 3.
Yeah, that's just how that you're quick.
I just, talking about, having the CEO in front of us. It's something really we should be grateful for because with such successful companies out there, the CEO usually isn't on the boots on the ground with us. And I, for one, am super appreciative of that. And, thank you. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
Also David, as well,
I know, I was about to say,
in principle. I'm just happy you know who I am. Okay.
Practicing what you preach, because I said earlier, like accountability, like being a team leader, we just went through all the things to, weed out agents we might not want and stuff like that. And like, you could have a whole nother class on the second half of that, which is you are hiring someone for your team. You are taking a percentage of their commission. Are you earning that as a team leader? It's not just a given just because you let them slap their name on your roster. Like, are you, practicing what you preach? Are you giving them value? Because you will lose them.
If you're not around.
If you're not around, if you're not in front of them.
Yeah.
So like, Frank's up here saying like, these are all the things I do. And yes, he acts that same way even with leadership, right? He can keep people on his leadership team for years and years and years because of this, and David too. You just quiet over there in the corner, that's why. But they do get in front of you. They do, you are heard. Whether you think you're right, wrong, or indifferent, you still have that place and that safe space and you're heard. And as team leaders, you have to do that too. And, because I'm the pro coach, I have a unique experience of knowing when team leaders kind of fault in certain areas. And the number one reason I'll tell you guys that are sitting here is not being responsive and not making them feel heard. And not being transparent up front that you just wanted a showing agent. You really didn't want to help them grow their career. You just needed help. Some people want to be in that position. So if you're transparent, you'll find the right person for that position. When you take someone that's super ambitious and you try to just make them your assistant, that's never going to work out for you. Then they have resentment at that point. So if you're very transparent about exactly what you need and want, you will find people for that position. But when you're not, they end up in pro coaching.
So before I open up the Q&A, real quick, huge round of applause for Tori, who took all these notes for us. Yeah. Questions for me, guys. First of all, sorry, Ken, did I answer any of the questions you had coming into the class, and did I miss anything? Ken?
So you said in the beginning, because you asked me the question, I said 30 days and you said 90 days. So why an agent, like why would you hold on to an agent for 90 days?
I'm not holding on to them, they're holding on to us.
Okay.
that's why they do 30, 60, 90 that's the.
But the 90 days, they haven't transacted, they haven't a paycheck, they're going to fall out.
Yeah.
That's why. the 90 days.
Period.
Majority, not.
I didn't do my first deal until 8 months into the business. If I left at 90 days.
Yeah.
But if I'm not seeing the value of why, because I was still working.
Yeah.
If I didn't see the value to stay there that long, I would have went somewhere.
So it's important 30, 60, 90 with KPIs, and then you're meeting them on the 30, 60, 90 day, but you're onboarding to your team, really important, because that agent will start to think that I made a mistake. Oh, I know Susie at a brokerage and they have the office dog, it's really comfortable there. I'm just gonna go.
So like if you don't see them lead generating, so like when Kelly, she's not in here, okay, I'm gonna use Kelly as my example. She came into her office and the first day she was supposed to be lead generating and she's like just sitting there like on her phone, she was all relaxed and I go in the market, I'm like, she's out, she's gone. I'm like, goodbye, Kelly. And he's like, no, he's like, let her be, give her a little bit of time. So if you don't see them putting out the effort.
Do they know how?
So I'm gonna challenge you on that. Karen.
Oh.
First of all, if anybody doesn't know, Cam came in her previous life when she was a soldier, she went back and shot the wounded.
We are from the same
Neighborhood.
neighborhood. Leave it at that.
Anyway,
Makes a lot more sense.
maybe, and this is no fault to you guys, right? 'Cause this happens sometimes. Maybe we didn't set up the right expectation on what they needed to do when they came in. When you're here between hours of 9 and 11, you are lead generating. If you don't know who to lead generate, give me your phone and figure it together.
By the way, right on the head. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to say. She didn't know how to say it. I had no idea where to begin or how. And right now, she's absolutely killing it.
She is killing it. And I was wrong. And I took that and I swallowed that pill and I said, I was incorrect. It was like drinking vinegar. It was, but I was wrong. But when I'm sitting here, like, you've been an agent for 2 years and you can't figure out what you need to do.
Because they don't know anything.
They
And
don't
get
know.
Somewhere for 2 years.
don't.
now
They
they're-
don't know, they
Yeah.
don't.
We have one more question before test class.
No, I was gonna say they don't know, you know, I've had agents on my team that were agents for 5 years and they don't know. We can't assume that because they've had their license for this long and they've done 10 transactions.
Yeah.
That they have any idea, so we've gotta come from a position of curiosity and say, you know, you're sitting there on the phone, hey, can I help you? Can I help you get to the next step? That's, as team leaders, that's our goal, help them get to the next step. Teach them
Guys.
what they don't.